This is the Legislative Assembly. The party that secures the majority of MPs tomorrow night will form government on this side of the bench. Premier John Brumby has occupied this chair for the past 3 years. He's hoping to lead the ALP to an historic fourth consecutive term in Victoria. I spoke to him earlier. Mr Premier, welcome to State Line.
Thanks, Josephine.
Premier Brumby, this is what you've said or suggested about the coalition this election campaign. You can't trust them, they'll sack public servants, their policies are uncosted, they'll blow the budget, they'll close hospitals, don't believe their promises, their leader's a sook, he doesn't have what it takes, he's popped up at the last minute and he's misled the electorate. Mr Brumby, is all that fear-mongering?
No, I think that's a pretty accurate reflection of the opposition and their policies, and I think you saw that yesterday when the opposition released their costings from an accounting firm that most Victorians would never have heard of, and when the leader, Mr Baillieu, was not prepared to stand up there and to back his shadow treasurer with those costings. And every year that we've been in government, it's the Premier and the Treasurer who have been there standing beside those costings because they're so crucial. It's about what you're promising to do in an election, and the numbers need to add up.
Now, you said it'd be a positive campaign. That list I read out doesn't sound positive.
Well, I think it's been a very positive campaign, and if you look at particularly the policy releases through the campaign, we've detailed all of ours. I've made policy releases every day.
And negative. It's been positive and negative.
Every day of the election I've made policy releases. They've all been fully costed by Treasury. And if you look at the paid advertising, Josephine, you'll find that we've done far more positive advertising, mainly with me talking about what I believe in, what I'm passionate about, what we'll do if we're re-elected. And I'd invite you and your viewers to contrast that with what's been a barrage of negative advertising from my opponent.
Yesterday you said, and I quote, elections are about the future, but you keep reminding the electorate about the Kennett years. You don't want them to look over the past 11 years at your record, but you want them to look at the Kennett years.
Oh no, I don't. I'd be very surprised if there's too many references that I've made to the Kennett years during this election campaign. And
one of your ads is referring to the Kennett years.
What I've been talking about is the future. But it is a fact that when Mr Baillieu was President of the Liberal Party and Chairman of the Liberal Party Policy Assembly, it is a fact that his company sold schools. And that might be uncomfortable for Mr Baillieu, but it's a fact of the matter. And I think there's a clear contrast, there's a clear choice here in politics. On our side of politics, we build schools, we invest in them. On our side of politics, we build hospitals and we invest in them. And I think there's a very clear contrast between us and our Liberal opponents.
All right, well, you refer to those selling of schools. What would you have done as Treasurer faced with the economic mess that the Kane-Kerner government left for Victoria?
Oh, well, I wasn't Treasurer at the time.
But what would you have done? Would you have sold? What would you have sold and what would you have privatised?
Oh, well, I think that's quite a hypothetical question, but obviously over time I would have got the budget back into balance.
How?
Well, by getting the economy to grow for a start. And if you look at what we've done in government during the period that I've been Premier and the period that I was Treasurer, we've run the best economy of any state in Australia. And if you look at the number of jobs that have been generated, the number of jobs since the global financial crisis, the state that has performed best is our state of Victoria, and it's performed that way because I believe that we've got the economic levers right. So what I would have done is to get the economy going, and that didn't happen in the 1990s. It took many years, many people left the state, and I think had there been a slightly different approach, we would have seen a return to growth quicker than would otherwise have been the case.
Mr Premier, there appears to be a hemorrhaging of Labor supporters going to the Greens in droves. Why are they doing that? Clearly they're dissatisfied with the ALP.
Well, I think if you look at the recent opinion polls on that, I'm not sure that's right. The opinion polls show that there's support there for that political party, but basically it shows that this election will be very close. And I always said it would be very close and very tight. So you always see minor parties, Josephine. So all of the years that I've been in politics, in the 1980s when I started in federal politics, I saw the Nuclear Disarmament Party, for example, win 2 Senate seats in Western Australia. I've seen the Australian Democrats poll 12 and 13% in federal elections and win 2 Senate seats in South Australia. So from time to time, you'll always see minor parties that enjoy periods periods of support. But this is essentially a contest between the Labor Party and the Liberal National Party. I'm in it to present a positive vision for the future of our state, about how we keep the jobs coming, about how we provide stable and strong leadership for Victoria.
But do you acknowledge that your supporters, particularly those of the left, are going to the Greens? You've got a problem there.
Well, no, I don't acknowledge that. I acknowledge that there's a contest, and it's a real contest, and I'm competing for votes. I'm competing for votes against all of the other political parties, and people make a choice. That's the democratic process. But I'm out there offering strong leadership. I'm out there too offering real policies and real action in relation to climate change. And I think it's fine for people to talk the talk. What I'm offering and what we're doing is walking the walk. We're actually making the decisions which are reducing emissions and at the same time creating new jobs, for example, through our solar policies.
Mr Premier, whatever happens tomorrow, win or lose, will you stay in the Parliament for this term?
Well, I've been asked that before, and I've said that that's my intention to do that, but obviously I'm hoping to win the election and to win in our own right and to continue on, and that's what I hope to do. But I've been asked that before, and I've answered that before.
So you'll stay for the full term, whatever happens?
That's what I've said.
Good luck tomorrow night, Mr Brumby.
Thanks, Josephine.